All right, good morning, everybody. Oh, it's too far down. I guess I was on a different scene. Let me fix the chat real quick. Let's see here. There we go. Heading off the bottom just a little bit. All right. Good morning, everybody. For anybody that might be new, my name is Tim, and I go by Foamy Guy. We will be working on CircuitPython related stuff. If you're brand new and you don't know what that is, you can learn more at CircuitPython.org, or I encourage you to join us down on the Discord, which is linked down below. There's a CircuitPython dev channel, help with CircuitPython channel, so you can learn more about it in either of these places. It is basically an implementation of Python that runs on tiny computers, like these ones all depicted on this page here. All different shapes and sizes of these things, but they are essentially just tiny computers inside the main chip, and they have access to all of these extra pins which you can connect other things to. Come in lots of different shapes and sizes, like this one is round and it's made for alligator clips. This one has built-in slots for keyboard keys and a knob and a little screen. The feather is kind of a specification like form factor. There's a bunch of them shaped like this with similar capabilities. We can run Python code on these devices to interact with all those things that are plugged in. In particular, what I'm working on today is not code that runs on these devices specifically, but code that runs in our CI. Inside GitHub, we have actions set up for all the libraries that implement drivers for various different pieces of hardware that can run on these tiny computers. And we want to basically take some automated tasks. We want to measure some things. We want to build some stuff, output some things. There's just different things we want to do anytime we change a library. So GitHub allows you to set this up with GitHub Actions. The specific one I'm working on is about measuring the size of the library, so we can quantify how big the libraries are and how much they are changing when we merge in new code. How's it going, C. Grover? Good morning. Let me also just shuffle a few more windows and try to open the Twitch chat just in case if we get anybody in there. Well, let's see. Pop this one out. And we could pause the preview. Actually, we could pause this preview too. Morning, Paul. Unfortunately, missed the deep dive. Oh yeah, no worries. I mean, it's always there to go back and watch if you want to watch it later on, or if you got other stuff going on. That's totally cool as well. So that's what I'm working on, is the MPY action, and specifically we did, speaking of last night's deep dive, we did work on this a bit on the deep dive. So if you're interested in the specific thing that I do jump into once we get going here, you could go watch the first part of it on the previous stream from last night. And then actually, as I mentioned yesterday as well, I did some of the prior work on stream also. So if you're interested in the history of this particular effort, there are a couple of different VODs out there where you can find some of the different stuff that's happened. So really the main thing we want to do is test the last couple of changes that we tried to make last night. Or maybe we didn't make them, I don't remember. We wanted to cut off the percentage sum. We added this summary section. Inside the summary, we had a percentage. Okay, yeah, inside the percentage, the first time we ran it, we did not cut it off to 2 decimals, and we did not have the percent sign. So we put those back in. We just want to make sure that's going to work. And then we need to basically push cookie cutter to get the PR on that side updated. And we'll probably test this on a couple other libraries, at least one other one. The one I've been testing on is, let's open that up as well. It's like SI 1145. It's a, I don't know what it is actually. What is it? It's a driver for something. It's a like a sensor or a kind of output. Let's see. Digital UV index IR visible light sensor. Okay. And so this, I've been testing changes on this library. I did some things like I added some long names, I think, to variables. Like I've changed these things here to be longer to add more size into the library to go and like be able to compare back and forth. Looks like I did this one as well. So we can add more stuff in here as we need if we want to get different numbers from the size readouts. That's what I've done here. But this library is only a single file, so we do want to try it also on the library or the like a directory library where it's multiple files inside of a folder. We'll test on that as well. Did I push this? It looks like yes. Just gonna check to make sure that we did push. Well, it's under, so that one's under CircuitPython organization on GitHub. How's it going? Let's see, Estudiorbal, did I get that right? Not, I apologize, but how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Let's see here. We end up here. Okay, commits. Let's make sure the last commit was, okay, we formatted also, yeah, I ran black, I think, pre-commit, which caused a bunch of these things to change, but the actual difference in functionality was this. So do we have anything to push here? Not yet. Let's do actually, let's do this. This will be an interesting test. So if I understand correctly, because these have underscores at the beginning, and because they use this constant thing, they basically don't count. Like if we go refactor this, right? If we change this to longer, and one of these also, let's just do two of them. If I understand right, we should come out to the same size afterwards. Because MPY compiling somehow takes these away, pretty much. That's probably, obviously that's not a very technical description, but it's able to, it's efficient enough. It somehow swaps these out as names. It knows they're constants, and it's able to use a smaller name for it somehow, basically, internally. Like, we don't have to worry about it. It just does this without us knowing about it or caring about it most of the time. So if we push this change, we should basically get the same numbers that we got last time, if my understanding of that is correct. That's my understanding of how it works, so we shall see. Try longer constant names. We're pushing to the same branch, which already has a PR, so that we can see it run. Need help to solve version 8 on Unexpected Maker S3 Pro, getting Wi-Fi authentication. I don't know that I'm the best person to help. I have used Unexpected Maker S2 only. I have not done anything on S3 devices at all yet so far. ESP32, S2, and S3 are the devices that's talking about, I think, right? Wi-Fi authentication error. I would say, I mean, I assume you have other devices connecting to the same network using the same information. I don't know the state of the S3 port yet. It's possible that Wi-Fi is not implemented all the way, or that there are some problems that are not in S2. I know S3 is still pretty much brand new, but I haven't used it pretty much at all, any S3 devices. I want to say there are S3 Feather TFTs, is that right? Did I buy one of those? I don't remember. I definitely have not used it. Feather TFT. I'm gonna look at this in this browser over here because it's gonna, if I'm still logged in, which I'm not, so. Do I want to log in? I guess I'll log in. This will tell me if I bought one. I think this is the only potentially S3 device that I believe I have, and I'm not 100% sure that I have it. I have sort of a memory of thinking about buying one of the days that I was making an order. I don't remember if I threw it in or not for sure. Keep an eye on this one too. This will take a second to run anyway, so we got some time here. Okay, commented now. Yeah. So this branch version is 1736 this time, and it was also 1736 last time. So before we made those changes, it's the exact same size as it is after we made those changes. So that does show, if you use constants like this with underscores, it's able to, I don't know what I guess it's just substituting it, right? It must be doing something where it's just not using the real name internally, it's giving it a different name. Let's see here. Vector. There it is. Okay. Yeah, it looks like I did purchase one. Back in June. I have not used it yet, though. I have to give it a try. I think it's more related to new Wi-Fi connection than V8. How they use the M file to automatically connect at boot time. It could, yeah. That stuff is definitely brand new as well. I would say try both ways. Like if you're trying with the N file and it's not working, maybe try not using the N file but using the old way, just like import Wi-Fi connect. Basically just like grab one of the examples from the requests library is a good one. That's usually where I go when I'm very first setting up a new Wi-Fi device. If you grab like simple test requests, whichever one is for your type of connection, which S3 I would assume would be the same one as the S2, so it's the ones that are like import Wi-Fi rather than, it shouldn't be ESP32 SPI. And there's a couple of different ones for each thing. You could try like that though. Then it's going to connect like from the Python code rather than the core code inside using the environment file, that .env file. Okay, and we do have the percent looking better here, 2.35%. It is, how's it going, Axel Magnus? It is still interesting to me that these are different, but I think it suggests that I don't quite grasp the extent to which the strings are manipulated or encoded. And they're pretty close, right? The difference of 4 bytes is not that big. I think it's probably can be accounted for by me not really understanding how the strings are encoded in there. There may be situations where it comes out slightly differently one way or the other. Because this is the way we're calculating strings is we basically call the strings command line thing on the MPY file it outputs all of the strings that it finds, and we put those into a file, and then we check the size of that file. So maybe like files also could just have inherent extra size compared to the raw data within them. That could be as well. Is the file name stored inside the file? I don't actually know how files work under the hood, but maybe something like that could be the case as well. Like there's metadata with a file that is extra stuff. It's not stuff contained in the content of the file, but it does still add size. So that is looking pretty good to me. I think this branch version, main branch version summary. I should probably be consistent. This is all lowercase and this is randomly uppercase. Let's make that consistent. I don't know, for some reason I write stuff like that. I don't understand how I choose uppercase or lowercase. I think we'll just go uppercase for like these, and then lowercase for the other stuff. Or that, I mean, that's still inconsistent, isn't it? But I feel like it looks the best that way. I don't know. Whoops, the difference. And then let me take a look at these again. I forget the way these flags work. So is changed from current, is above baseline, is over string percentage. So there's three mechanisms, three levers that determine whether it will actually post the comment. Where are the values, though? I guess, are they just hard-coded in the if statements? No. Where is this? Oh, okay. Okay, so we have a percent difference, 5%. So if the one in the PR, the one in the changed branch is at least 5% bigger total file size, then it will print the comment. Or if the total bytes of the whole file is over 1500, then it will print the comment. Or if the percentage of strings is greater than 50%, then it will print the comment. And that would be in the changed version, I believe. I mean, all of these would be in the change. Well, this one is comparing the changed version to the main branch. But both of these are in the changed version. If the changed version is over 1500 bytes, or if it has more than 50% strings. And in the case of the SI one, we are over 1500 bytes. But we are actually under the 50% strings. Oh, I guess, should we print the difference percentage? Well, this is strings. Strings percentage difference. Should we print the percentage of these, maybe? Because if we are gonna have the 5% one, it would be nice to know the percentage it came up with. Difference. Say this bytes or the percentage so that would be the difference over the no. it would be the current version divided by the changed version? Current version divided by the changed version. Is that right? So current version 1736 over 1667 gives you 1.04, and so then for percentages you would multiply by 100. We have 104.13%. But I guess that doesn't give you the percent of change, does it? Because really what we look at is percent difference. File size diff, so it's the subtraction over the current version size times 100. Should it be current version or should it be changed version? If I get a traceback to an MPY file, what's the easiest way to find where the code actually goes wrong since I can't see the clear text? Good question. And I would say like it should still give you a line number, and the line number should match up with the Python version of the library. So like yeah, let's just go to this. I mean, we're already on this SI one. Let's just look at this one. I'll go to the released one. And if you let me know what library you have, I can pull it up and kind of point you in that one. But basically, the libraries, there is in the repo, there is a Python version. This one is plain text, and you can read the Python code in it. The ones you install from the bundle get compiled to MPY, but the tracebacks still point to the Python code. So if you find the repo for whatever library you're using, you should be able to find the Python version of the library. It'll either be a single file one with a .py file, or it'll be a folder. So, you know, like it could have a folder, Adafruit, you know, SI1145 or whatever the name of the library is. You go inside there, and then it will have multiple Python files. Those tracebacks should point to the line numbers in the actual Python code as well, even though it's compiled inside the MPY. Which is kind of amazing now that I think about it and say it out loud. I have no idea how it does that, but I think that's how it works. So I guess we could also, we could calculate this and then use that to output. Because this is from above, this is from above, this gets calculated right here. Do we want to be... We don't want absolute value of this, do we? Or I guess we want to, do we want to know if it's either way, or do we want to know only if it's bigger? There's a source bundle for all Adafruit libraries. That's true. Yeah, actually, that's a good point as well. I forget about that page because I'm so used to using Circuit nowadays. But the libraries here, these top two are MPY files. These are the ones typically you would download to get the libraries and that you want to put on your device. But there's also this Python source bundle, which contains all the plain text Python versions of all those MPY files. Because the bundle always has the current main branch in GitHub. Didn't know that. Also always reflecting the latest version. It's the latest released version, which should follow. It should be the same as main branch the majority of the time, but there is sometimes, I mean, there is a lapse in a couple of hours, usually less than a day, because like what happens is these MPY bundles, these get built once per day, if any libraries changed, sometime overnight. I don't know the exact time, but basically there's a task that runs at a certain time of day, and it checks if any of the libraries have changed, and if they has, then it builds both of these MPY bundles. So during the day, a push gets pushed to main. For the remainder of that day, main is actually in a slightly different place than what you get from this and what you would get from these. But then, you know, that night, AdaBot runs, it sees that there was a change in the library, it generates these, it generates this, and then from that point on, they're now back in sync. So there's a lag of a couple of hours or whatever throughout the rest of the day, but once you get to the next day, then it should always be in sync. Maybe the absolute value was intentional. It's kind of coming back to me now. Maybe the idea was to do it in either direction. Yeah, in either direction. Although it says memory change, in this case we're doing the MPY file, which is kind of a proxy for the memory. But yeah, it does say either direction. Although it kind of would be good to know positive or negative. Yeah, why don't we not do this here? And instead do it here. So we do the absolute value when we compare, but not before. That way we could then print this here. Yeah, positive or negative. I agree. I think it should trip based on the absolute value, because we probably want to know either way, because if like a bunch of stuff got cut out, I think we also want to know that. But I do think what it prints, we should keep the sign. We should try to have it print the sign. Positive or negative. I think this is what that will do now. Except I did put it in the wrong place. This one is the strings one. And then we don't actually have the strings percentage. Actually, we could be using this one here too. Yeah, that's true. Sure. Check out some of what Pilot says. Ain't too long. It's weird because we have the strings difference percentage, but we also kind of have the strings percentage difference. They're two different things, but are going to be super confusing if we have those, I think, right? Many locals. It's not supposed to be in uppercase? I mean, alright. I think uppercase makes more sense, personally. Didn't change. I don't know. I feel like being uppercase makes it clear it's a constant to me. That's the reason why I do uppercase. It won't change. The value is going to be the same throughout the whole program. I feel like that's helpful information to have if you are trying to read the program or change stuff inside of it. You know, I guess we could make it a const, but I don't think const is like a MicroPython thing. I don't think CPython has that. That's weird. I don't like it. I don't like it. Invalid name? No, I don't like it. I think it should be uppercase because it's a constant. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not like dead set against it. If somebody else wants to submit a PR with it and offer reasoning, even if the reasoning is just because it fails Pylint, then we could discuss it and maybe we can merge it in. I'm not dead set against it, but for now I don't want to change it. I feel like we lose some, it loses clarity in my opinion if it goes to lowercase, because I don't, lowercase doesn't it implies that it will change, to me at least, which I guess maybe I'm the weird one for having that sort of implications or using variables names that way, but I feel like that's helpful. Consider using with. I mean, I guess. I don't know, I don't care for with too much either, but let's see. In this case, it doesn't matter. In this case, I think it's like same, 6 of one, half dozen of another. The problem when using these ones, though, is if you want multiple files, right? Let's say you want to open 3 files or something, then you end up nested over more and more indented in, and it gets kind of annoying. Or if you need to open a file and then return from a function, but then close that file later, like this doesn't allow you to do that. You open it inside the function, it will close whenever you drop out of this context. So I guess the answer is don't design things that need to do that, but sometimes that's helpful. So unused variable, module name. Measure sizes, module name. I guess okay. I guess probably at one time the thought was it would use the module name to try to find the correct one of these things, but it turned out the problem was that all of them had the module name in it, and really what we wanted to find was the V8 one, or whatever the newest one is. And we didn't end up using the module name. So I guess we don't need it. How many statements? Honestly, we can also get rid of this. So we can get rid of both of these. And I suppose the time has come. Get rid of all of this. We added those percents also, the percent of change. I didn't put in the commit, but that's another thing we did. Oops. Need to refactor that. Is there a CircuitPython build of MPY tool for looking inside of an MPY file? I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean looking inside of it though. What are you trying to find that's inside of it that's not visible from the raw Python code, the plain text Python code? Inside of it is binary. It's like, I'm not sure, I guess, what we would be trying to find inside there. I mean, the short answer too, I would say, is I don't know of one. There is MPY. Is it MPY tool? This is not what I was thinking. This is more about like copying files to and from. What was the name? I like the idea of uncompiled bundles to measure Q strings and constant sizes. Oh, well, I mean, the strings, I mean, you can just open an MPY file. I mean, you can just read it and see the strings inside of it, which is essentially what's happening with the way we're measuring the strings, is basically just doing that. Like if we go here, or I guess it will probably open inside this. You can open it here. But it's like some, you know, these, the things that are actual strings, you can read inside of it, and you could open it just with fopen or whatever, with Python code or any other thing. And then in terms of like measuring the size of the strings in there, it doesn't decode back to the source. That's true. Yeah, no, I don't think you can. I think it's one way because it loses some information. Basically, it can't. I don't think it can go back all the way to the source for everything. Some stuff like these hard-coded strings, it seems to be able to still have, obviously, but it can't, like, I don't think there could be a way to convert it back to the Python code. Not to the exact same Python code, because I think it loses some things from it. I am curious, I thought somebody did reach out to me at one point about MPY. It was MPY tool. Oh, okay, it's called MPY tool. Is this the same thing, I wonder? So I will say I have not dived all the way in. This is something somebody pointed me towards, and I do definitely have intention of getting further into it. This might be parsing MPY at least. I don't know that it can. It is getting some Q strings out of there. I don't know that it can take it all the way back to Python code. I mean, personally, I don't think it's possible, but I'm also not sure. I could just be wrong. Disassemble MPY. Sounds promising. Merge MPY. So this is inside, this tool examines, doesn't decode, this tool examines the headers and provides some stats, I see. Looks like it has merging as well. I don't know, maybe that's different. I assume this is combining two files. I mean, it seems like it has disassemble. Let's see what it outputs. I don't actually know what it will output. Maybe a couple of utilities. Yeah, it looks like it can do a few things. Not sure how to run it. Why does that not autocomplete? Makes me think this will not work. I don't know. I don't think I'm running it the right way. I don't know. It doesn't seem to print anything for some reason. Other favorite method is licking the .py version in the bundle as it unzipped locally with an update script. Yep, I got one of those running as well. Updates, downloads the new bundle every day. I've always got the Python code for it handy. Why would adding a print? Okay, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me. We just ran this and got different. We got different stuff. I don't know why this was not crashing. It looks like we're missing something we would need though. So I'm gonna get back to doing what I was doing here first, but maybe try checking out this MPY tool. It's inside of the MicroPython tools MPY tool. I guess probably the other stuff is inside of here that it needs. Maybe. Actually, I don't see it. I don't know. Is this a pip thing or? MicroPython Py. Okay, which is what this is doing. Add to the path up and then inside Py, which would be here. So you need this thing. Anyway, we should probably clone the whole repo to use it if we want to use it. Looks like it's made to run in place, not just drop in somewhere else. Might be worth checking that thing out. I don't know of anything else though that can disassemble or otherwise kind of like undo the MPY format. Oh, we failed. Recommit. Let's see. Guess this is 30. It's 35. Oops. Okay. Well, this runs, I'm going to actually run and get some ice for my water. This code CPY extension automatically downloads target bundle, latest bundle when you open a CPY folder. MPY style. Is there a way to also have it update a local copy of the uncompiled versions? I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, probably, but I don't know. You'd have to modify the extension. I would assume if it's getting the MPY one, you could also have it download the Python ones, but I don't know too much about VS Code or how the extensions work. I would say try to find CircuitPython extension, try to find the code for it. Is this the one? Let's have a link back to the repo. Looks like that's what it does. Jose made this one? Oh no, excuse me, Joe. Joe DeVivo. So I would guess somewhere inside of here you could change it to do anything you want, including, should be able to download one. Library Manager. Looks like it's TypeScript, so you'll need to know some, at least JavaScript. If you're familiar with JavaScript, you could probably make it work even if you've not done TypeScript before, but looks like it needs to be updated for 8x also. If you were so inclined, you could probably submit a PR for that. That's probably what I would do though, is try to find the extension. If that's the one you're using, then you can get the code there, or if it's a different one, try to find the code for it and see where it's downloading, and then try to add an extra bit to it that will make it download the Python version one as well. It's hosted right alongside the MPY one, so it should be able to find it like in a very close place to where it's already downloading the MPY ones. All right, so we did pass. Okay, I don't have a space here. Morning, DJ Devin, how's it going? So total file size got bigger by 8.58%. Strings got bigger by 19% of the strings file, though. And then the difference between the two percentages was 4.66%. Tired? Up all night, morning redesigning. Found out that Anno encoder is EOL. Won't ever be more in the store. Oh no. Anno encoder. Yeah, I feel that's like the big part of the challenge these days, it seems like. Trying to design stuff is like parts. Getting parts is a nightmare. Sounds like. Okay. So we can commit this, which was just a change to bytes. File size measurement. What else are you measuring? How's it going, Mr. Big Sister? Bigster? Mr. Bigster, my bad. We are measuring the difference in size of the MPY files. We are also measuring the size of the strings inside the MPY files. I don't know how familiar you are with CircuitPython. If you don't know what that is, I can give you a higher level rundown, but if you already know, then I'll skip that for you. But basically, we are measuring the size of the MPY files itself, and then the size of the strings within that MPY file. And the way we're doing the strings is pretty much by going to wherever it's at, 8, this, here, okay. And then running this command, strings, on the MPY file. And this returns all of these, and we save these into a file, and then we measure that file also to get a look at essentially what portion of the MPY file is strings versus not strings. And then we just output that stuff in a couple percentages and things as a comment through the action spot. Let's make sure we're passing on this one. Yeah. Always appreciate a fellow C#, Chad. I don't know too much C#. This code here is Python, and I took a class of C#. I learned a little bit about C#. Now that being said, probably my forte is Java, which is pretty close to C#, it felt like when I took it, so I could probably pick up a C# project. I guess actually I did do some, what was it? I did use C# for Siftio blocks. Siftio cubes. Boy, I wish these things didn't end up going away. These were so cool. You could code these with C# though, and I did do some for that. Sorry, that was a long story, but, well, it wasn't that long, but it wasn't really related either. But it's what C# made me think about. These things were so fun. This company got bought by, I think, like a drone manufacturer or something. They just went in a whole different direction. They don't make these things anymore. It was a bummer, because these were such a cool thing. Took me back to your college days. Really is like waking up one day finding out some Python function you're using doesn't exist. Yeah. Yeah. Hardware. Hardware is tough. Especially right now. Okay, I am thinking this is looking good at this point. I did put the space back in here. Thinks it got reconnected, so maybe we're back. Looks like we're back on the Twitch side. Maybe. Back on YouTube, and it's still the same one. That's good, so it didn't disconnect long enough to become a separate stream instance. Okay. Lost you there for about 20 seconds. Okay. Yeah, we should be back. It's weird. I do have music running through YouTube, and it didn't hitch at all. Maybe it's not come up yet, or maybe it was just cached extra well. But yeah, OBS told me it disconnected and then came back there. So let's get back to where we were. ULab is not in 733 for the Matrix portal. Oh no. Does it maybe got cut for size or something? Potentially. You could probably make a build with it, potentially. I think there is a switch for it. You may end up having to turn something else off, though. So I guess it depends on what else you want to do with it. Music only comes through as background noise whenever you talk. I doubt you'll ever get hit for that. Oh yeah, I'm surprised you can hear it at all. So my mic is directional and it points away from it, but then it also has a noise gate which cuts it out while I'm not talking, so that does actually make sense though why a little bit would bleed through while I talk. Sometimes I use earbuds so that it won't ever come in, but I don't feel like earbuds today. Okay. So we cut out a lot of our difference in strings there. We got rid of another 80-ish bytes of strings, or 70. And our total difference is now down to only 82 bytes, which is 4.92%. Although now my song has stopped. But this is probably YouTube being like, are you still there? Me being like, yes, please play the next song. Thank you. Okay. Cut for size to accommodate Bluetooth. Ah, I see. Yeah, at some point, I mean, I guess like as each new sort of family of device comes around, the computer gets bigger and bigger. We have more RAM, more processing power, more space. And so the problem helps alleviate itself as new families come out, but somewhere along the way, I think it would be helpful to have a build customizer. Like, I imagine a web front end, you could go somewhere, you know, maybe it's on CircuitPython.org or maybe it's somewhere else. You could go there, select a base device. So you said Matrix Portal. Select a base device and then select like your modules. So you could say like, I want to turn off BLE. I want to turn off, you know, I'm not going to do anything with audio, so I want to turn off audio stuff, turn off all of these, you know, whatever. You could turn all those things off, and then you'd be able to turn on all the ones that you want. So if you wanted to trade those out for Microlab, you could just easily turn off a couple, turn on a couple, and then have it make you a custom build. It would be a lot of work to make the server to do that, but I think it should be possible. It's basically just a web application that has a CircuitPython building thing inside of it. All the projects, Matrix Portal has Bluetooth. I think it can use Bluetooth through its ESP. It has a ESP32 as a coprocessor, and I believe it can talk back and forth with that and use it for Bluetooth connections. All the project zips from the Learn guides, I presume, always contain the latest bundles, MPY or other size. Yeah, that's correct, Axel. Yeah, when you download from Learn, when you download the project bundles, it will always have the latest stuff. It downloads it essentially from the same places that CircuitPython.org gets it. Well, this one's Whippersnapper, actually. The short answer is yes, though. It will get the latest stuff. Let's look at new. Is there a CircuitPython one that's new? New to Uber Guide. MacroPad. Is this CircuitPython? Yeah, JP used CircuitPython for this. This button here, this will always have the latest versions of the libraries inside of it. The latest released. If you were around a few minutes back, a little while ago, maybe 20-30 minutes ago, when I was talking about sometimes there's a lag between when the PR is merged versus the released version happening later that night, I think this will have that same lag of the rest of the day the change occurs. It won't be in there, but like starting the next day, it will always have the newest stuff. Cool idea. Custom freeze. Oh, that'd be good too. Yeah, you could also freeze libraries as well. So if you know you're going to use a certain library, you could freeze that in instead of putting it in the lib folder. Yeah. Portal base for Matrix Portal is larger than for the other PyPortals. Ah, interesting. Portal base. Well, it must be the Matrix Portal that's built on top of Portal base. Okay. So we're gonna copy this. We're gonna take a look at Cookie Cutter. And I'm gonna try to see, do I have anything different inside of that compared to what I've been doing over here in this SI 1145? I don't think so, but I'm not sure. We want to look starting basically after build assets. It's right here. Doesn't want to get lined up perfectly. We have clone size tools. Tell it the repository, we tell it the path. We have clone main branch. We have build main, which is cd inside main branch repo, run CircuitPython build bundles. We have measure sizes. cd into here. Well, that was build though. Measure sizes is just Python, CircuitPython.org size tools. Check size file existence. This. So that's different. We should check and see if it's supposed to be. Size measurement comment. Oh, okay, here's the limiter. I was talking about this one last night. The limit it to only the pull request. And also, we only do this if the check sizes file output exists was true. So essentially only if it finds this file and only if it was a pull request. Then it will post the comment containing the text that it finds inside that file. And then after that, it is old stuff. I didn't add anything beyond that. So this was the last bit that I added. So this line right here is only different. So let's try to see if that is necessary. Yeah, well, I mean, it's just a different perspective, basically. It's not really bloat. It's intended to have all of that stuff to make it so that you don't have to micromanage it. So it's intended for people who don't or can't or aren't experienced enough yet to do all of the individual components by themselves. I mean, it's definitely a trade-off, and definitely, like, by the time you get to your final project, if you're using that, it's probably going to be helpful for you to switch out of it and to do those things individually. But you can get started quicker if you use it, because you don't need to micromanage every single little thing. You don't need to care about setting up the NeoPixels and the speaker and the screen and the Wi-Fi connection, and being able to add labels and images easily, like your group, your display IO stuff. Having all of that stuff done for you in one line, or just the import or whatever, means that you can get started iterating on your actual project right away, rather than like setting anything up, it's definitely always going to take size. It's always going to take RAM. It's always going to be a trade-off, but I think that's the trade-off. It's not that it's bloated. It's just kind of like, that's what it's for. That's why it exists, to be that big thing that does everything for you. Now, there's maybe cases where it could, maybe there are cases it could get smaller and still retain the same functionality. Maybe there are places for improvement like that, but I think the all of the functionality is intended to be there for the reason of being that easy button library. Just like Circuit Playground library, truthfully, is kind of the same way. This just says files where nothing, it doesn't even say path. Like, where did we just copy that from somewhere random? I don't even see path at all on this. So this can't, so okay, let's take it out and just push again and see. No path? Takes care of a lot of different formats, yeah. Yeah, it's basically to make it so that if the project you're trying to build fits within this box, right? If the project you're trying to build is, similar enough to what it's been designed around, then you can literally like import it, call a few functions, and you're done. Like, you have an entire program that's just import it, call a few functions. And it can do like relatively complex stuff, like download something from the internet, show it on the screen, right? That doesn't sound too complex necessarily, but like it kind of is. Don't have a PyPortal. Have to be picky how I use it or it throws errors. Yeah, that could be true. Yeah, if you're trying to run it on a different device with different amounts of RAM or stuff, it could definitely, it will definitely change it up. Try to adapt it with a feather. Doesn't like it much. I could see that, definitely, yeah. There's a feather wing library that has some helpers for some of the different feather wings. If you're using one of those, that one's a good place to check out. They do tend to be smaller, I think. But it is still kind of a similar trade-off. Like, you could also just go straight to the actual drivers of all the stuff instead of using that helper layer. Watch this not work at all. Whole thing just blows up. Nope, I think we're past it already, actually. Yeah, archive bundles was after all of our stuff, so. Yeah, and this worked fine. All files exist. Okay, so yeah. This one we already did not have inside cookie cutter. So, yeah. Now what have we done so far? So we added a new step to clone the main branch and added another new step to build the main branch. And then we changed the name of check sizes to be measure sizes. And then everything else is still the same, but of course, the other changes we made are actually inside of here. So we did make changes to this and pushed them. That's just not reflected here because all we do is run the file here. Why are we thrown back to the 1980s with running out of memory problems? It's very expensive, space, time consuming to just have tons of RAM when creating CircuitPython hardware. It's a good question. I am probably not best suited to answer, but I would, if I were venturing a guess, I would say we probably could have CircuitPython microcontrollers with a glut of RAM, more RAM than we would ever want or need, but they would be more expensive, right? There's all of the microcontrollers that do exist today, or not all, but the vast majority of the microcontrollers that exist are targeted in this like $30 or less, basically, right? Like not very many of them are more than that. There are a few, like I think a PyPortal might be 40 or 50 because it's got a screen built in, which I assume is a decent chunk of the cost. But like as far as most of the microcontrollers, like 30, 35 bucks is kind of the upper end of the range. Whereas computers like a Chromebook or something, or even an Android phone, like, I mean, if you spend like $100 or $150 or $200 on a computer, right? Whether it's a phone or a PC or a Chromebook or whatever, you spend $100 or $200 on it, it's going to have gigs of RAM most likely, right? You know, those specific gigs of RAMs inside those chips are probably different. You probably can't just hook up that gig of cell phone RAM into a microcontroller, but I would assume there are similar microcontroller compatible RAMs that are bigger, but it would just make the cost of the thing bigger. And there's not much of an existing market yet for that like above entry level pricing too much, right? Like almost everything is kind of in that entry level low end pricing. There's not that next level up of more expensive but better specs. Unexpected Maker Pro S3 has 16 megabytes of flash or of RAM. That would be a good example though. I mean, that one, Unexpected Maker, I remember the first one as well, Unexpected Maker S2, I think he did push a larger flash chip than lots of the other devices at the time. So that is approaching, and I will say it's not that expensive either, right? Those are still kind of within this same, price range, aren't they? Yeah. $22.50 for the S3, $20 for a small one. Tiny S3 Pro is $25. But that's in the same, that's right around the same range. I do think it's flash, right? Yeah, 16 megs of flash. QSpy RAM? Is this part the RAM? So the thing is, I'm not great at knowing how to read all of these things to understand like which part is RAM and which part is hard drive. Extra QSpy PS RAM. I'm not sure if that's what it uses for the RAM as we think of it. SRAM is relatively cheap versus the size of the microcontroller. There's a weird size issue where it seems to stem from. So does the Feather S3. It's also more expensive compared to the Adafruit S3. The 16 meg chip is not cheap. It's like $7 for the chip itself. 8 gigs of RAM. Okay. Or 8 gigs of RAM. 8 megs of RAM. So that's, I mean, that's definitely a couple, that's like multiple times bigger than the next closest thing that I know of. So 240 megahertz processor. I think, yeah, I mean, I think we're getting there slowly but surely. It's going to follow the same path, I would assume, that computers and phones and everything else took. Like, give it another 10 years or whatever, and we're basically looking at gigabytes of storage and RAM, I would think, on these devices as well. So most Feathers have QSPI. Board comparison. Oh, nice. Yeah, 8 megs sounds pretty nice. I should pick up a couple of these. I have the Unexpected Maker S2, but not any of the S3s. Oh, it failed? Run cookie tests? S2? Yeah, I mean, that can also just be the S3 branch, the S3 port, I should say, of CircuitPython. I don't know that it is like prime time release supported stable yet. I think it is still brand new and still has lots of stuff being worked through. So, and I would assume that's going to be all the S3 devices. But I, like I said earlier too, I haven't actually used any of them, so I don't have any personal experience. Where is the actual error here? There's a lot of stuff. It doesn't really tell us very much, does it? How do you run the tests? I test. Undefined variable and template. Unable to create. Unable to create file dot. GitHub build error. Error message steps is undefined. Undefined variables in template. Is it something to do with this thing? I remember we had some trouble with this. I guess we should be mostly looking at the new stuff. Are you not supposed to use single quotes, or? Ah, okay, it's gonna be this, right? This has got to be broken, right? Yeah. Okay. There we go. Yeah, so that, I've been tripped up by that a couple of times because basically the code you need inside the library is one thing, but inside of the cookie cutter, it's like also in a template. And so it has to fill in that template. So there's special rules about what these characters are doing, and it's trying to like fill something in there with the templating language. So we need to give it raw because it shouldn't be filling in. It should actually just be putting that literal thing that we gave it there. Because it means it's not supposed to be, it's not really intending to have the template engine do anything. It's intending to have actions later on do something with that value. Video mentioned a great project using Cortex M7. Read that there are some Wi-Fi interfacing problems with S3s and CircuitPython. Yeah, I don't either know all the details on it. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I tend to just, personally, I tend to assume anything that's brand new is unlikely to be completely working. So it's not up to me. I don't really have anything to do with the way the pages are put together, but for me personally, I don't think it's necessary to have a warning on the page because I feel like it's implied by the fact that it's alpha. So, like if you go here, right, is there a stable release? CircuitPython 7.3.3. That one is marked stable. Yeah. I don't know. It's worth it. I mean, you could submit a PR too to add error, like not an error, but a warning to this page. I think it's, I mean, personally, I just kind of assume any device that is brand new is probably not going to be fully functional. It's kind of how I assume it goes. What's the definition of brand new? It's a good question, and it depends on situations. So in this case, what I'm meaning by brand new is basically has been supported by CircuitPython at all for like a few months to a year, but I suppose the real thing is not how long has it been since it first became supported, it's how much time has been put into it, right? Like, it could be the case that it's been out for 6 months, but it could be the case that of those 6 months, other things were prioritized for 5 months of them, right? Like, it only received 1 month of work in that time, and so being 6 months old doesn't get it 6 months closer to being working, Like if it only got worked on 1 month, then it's 1 month closer to being working. So I don't think there is just like a time. There's not like X amount of days or X amount of months or X amount of weeks. It's in man hours, right? It depends on the time going into those things. It's not in like chronological calendar time. Yeah, as Anecdata mentions as well, there is an open issue. Is it more than just known? Oh, and that's a good question too, actually. If you're having that problem on 733 and if there's not an open issue, then definitely please open an issue, right? Because that's the kind of stuff, if it's not known yet, then definitely making an issue is the way to get it on the radar for people to be working on it. I wonder why GitHub is different at updating these things. You know, have you seen that? Like sometimes this, like just a second ago, this was yellow, but this was green. Like, why does their page have two mechanisms for that, and how do they get out of sync? That's super confusing to me. No, I'm totally completely making up the number. I don't actually know the amount of months. That was an example. So I don't know if it is 1 month or 6 months or what, but makes no sense. But also one of those nuanced things, you have to stay current. That's true. Yeah, I mean, check the issues is a really good place to start. Like if you are considering a device and you're considering using it on a certain version, searching through the issues is a good place to start to find out what level of support is there or what issues are known currently. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I did, because I don't know on the S3s. I don't know exactly how much time has gone into it. I feel like, I mean, I don't feel like I hear a lot about the S3 port inside the weekly meetings, but maybe I'm misremembering also. I don't know, is it its own port? I don't know how it works either. Maybe it's just under the Espressif port. So then it's like new devices, but not a whole brand new port. I don't actually know. And then there's also the ESP-IDF, which makes it different than, for instance, like Atmel or some of the other ones, because there's this whole layer of the ESP-IDF, which basically CircuitPython is beholden to the ESP-IDF, especially for things like Wi-Fi. Each release has alpha, beta, and stable. Boards within a port should behave similarly. Okay, so S2 and S3 should be the same, it sounds like. Well, should behave similarly, right? Not be the same, but behave similarly. Oh, clone. You gotta have a nice time and be safe. Build main branch. So get the values to compare changed branch to, instead of using the published MPY files from the bundle. I've also added a summary section to the comment. Size, I don't know why I capitaled this. An example of the latest version of the comment is available here. Copy this earlier? Nope. Well, I think I did copy it, but I something else afterwards. Copy link. Okay. This is definitely the newest one. I think the space here was one of the last things we changed. Ah, okay. S2, S3, C3, and then ESP32 plain, nothing, are kind of a different case in that sense. Looks like they have different alpha beta stable. Yeah, I sometimes do that too if I'm watching a video of somebody working on pages that look like what I'm doing. Try to scroll it through the video. Definitely been there. Alright, where did my... Okay. And we could say remark maybe for review. It's been changed now. I wonder if we could make this appear at the top. I feel like I always go in here and then scroll past everything. Okay. So normally I would probably wrap up right around here. I'm trying to think if I want to do anything else specific now. I'm curious if anybody who's watching, so like my streams are typically CircuitPython related. That's what we've been dealing with today, was all CircuitPython stuff. Some people may have caught last week sometime I did a JavaScript stream, which is different. I was working on JavaScript stuff. At some point I'm going to be going through this, which is implementing a platformer game in JavaScript and HTML and CSS. Is this interesting to anybody who's watching here? I know it's not CircuitPython, it's not what I normally work on, but this is something I'm going to be going through, and I may do it on stream. Vector updates. Tracking keys, running the game. Game over. Pause game. A monster. It's the game. Java plus donuts. Yeah, JavaScript. Yep. Definitely. Close enough. And named intentionally. I know you done Minecraft, so there's no way around. That's true. I did do Minecraft, which had Java in it as well. Yeah, I need to finish out the last video. Well, it's probably not the last video, but I need to finish out the next video, which is the one showing the kind of pull it all together. I have a couple of videos showing creating the feather, getting it into your world, getting your plugins loaded up. And I actually tried recording the next one in the series. I actually tried it twice, but I messed it up both times, and I didn't. I should probably break it into smaller chunks is what I need to do. That way I can like record them separately and then stitch them together if I want. But at least have like smaller chunks. That way if I mess up part of it, it's not wasting as much time. That's where I do need to get back to that Minecraft one to make that last video, or to make the next video. I keep calling it the last one because it's the one that would show you the rest of what you need to do it yourself, basically. I would still like to make videos beyond that show different interesting projects made with it, so there is that as well once all of the instructionals are out. But yeah, this will be something I'm working on. I think I will probably run the stream for this, so it's not going to be right now. I'm not going to go right into it. I do want to take a bit of a break. I don't know exactly when I'll come back, either probably later today or tomorrow sometime. Not 100% sure. If you want to be notified of that, you could follow me on Twitch. Yes, it'll be interesting. Yeah, thank you, Studio Rebel. So I will plan on streaming this again. It's probably going to be later today or tomorrow. Not 100% certain of the time, but that'll be my next stream. I think I'll come back and work on this platformer game written in JavaScript. So thank you to everybody for watching. Thanks to everybody in the chat for interacting and asking questions and just hanging out, having a nice Saturday morning with me. I appreciate all of you coming and watching and hanging out. This will be the next stream that I'm back for, is this JavaScript programming, this platformer game. So look forward to that either later today or tomorrow. And beyond that, I hope everybody's having a good day and a good weekend and all of that. And I'll catch you all next time. Thanks.